Hello everybody, welcome back to Find My Past from Home. It's time for Fridays Live. It's my favourite time of the week. It's the time of the week where we get to tell you all about the hard work that we've been doing at Find My Past over the past week, the new records we've been adding, and also it's our ability to be able to connect with you all. So welcome. I hope you're having a good day and that you've had a good week. My name is Ellie. I'm Senior Community Executive for Find My Past, and that means that I look after things like social media and the community effort for Find My Past, and it's a job I absolutely love because it means I get to chat to lots of you. So welcome, please get yourself comfortable. I say this every time, but make sure that you've got a hot drink and a snack because we're just going to have a nice relaxed hour where we're going to chat about our new records. We're going to do question of the week. We're going to talk about RootsTech because if you are attending RootsTech this week and you still managed to join us today, thank you so much because I know it's a really busy couple of days with RootsTech Connect going on. So thank you for making the time. And if we've also got time as well, we're also going to be talking about the real life Bridgertons, and it's some research that I did for Find My Past, and I thought it'd be good to share it with you. Spring has truly sprung here in Scotland, which is amazing. It's so nice. The days are getting a little bit longer now. I got out for a really lovely walk over lunch. I went up Carlton Hill, if anybody is familiar with Edinburgh, and I took some pictures and it was really nice. So yeah, I hope you're all having a good day. Now let's welcome you in the comments because I can see there's lots of you watching already, which is just lovely. So hello. Let's see who we got here. We've got Nicole, we've got Paul, Amanda, Joe, we've got Liam, Ellen, Karen, Jane. We've got Anya as well, who's asking, has anyone done any good RootsTech sessions? We are going to be talking about that a little bit further on. So that's good. I'm glad it's sunny over in Fife as well. I miss Fife, but Edinburgh's just as nice. It's beautiful. We've got Linda, we've got Rosie, Rita, Patricia, Roz, Heather. This is me trying to say hello to all of you, and there's so many of you. Victoria's saying, miss seeing you. You've been very much behind the scenes giving us links. Yes, there are so many people involved in Find My Past from Home now. It's really taken off, which is really nice. If you have stuck around since before lockdown last year, you may know that Alex was doing Fridays Live once a week on a Friday, and we've just added to that, and we've had so many amazing guests and lots of people involved, so it's really, really lovely. Now, I've lost my place in the comments. Excuse me just a moment. We've also got Teresa, we've got Jane, Rosemary, we've got Ursula saying it's a beautifully sunny day here in Somerset in England. We've got Claire from Adelaide in South Australia. Lovely. Lynn saying Edinburgh is my favourite city. Miko's here. Hello, Miko. Yeah, I've got Joe, Sarah. I'm just gonna I'll just spend the whole hour welcoming you because there's so many of you. It's just lovely. Is Alex practicing with his guitar? He's actually got a day off today. He works so hard, bless him, and every now and then apparently we need to give him a day off. He'll be back next week though, so don't worry. And we've got lots coming up next week, which I won't tell you about yet. I'll tell you about that later. Yeah, fantastic. Do say hi to Niall in the comments as well. He's going to be the link man today. So if you need anything, ask him, and he'll get you links for things. Lovely. So yeah, as I said, we'll do new records first, and then we're going to be talking a little bit about question of the week. So if you've not got to question of the week yet, it is tell us your favourite memory from a genealogy event or conference. And if you've never been to one, that's completely fine. Maybe you could say what you'd like, the sort of memories that you'd like to make, what you'd like to get out of attending an event like that. And I have to try and get through the new records quite quickly this week because I'm not going to be on my own today. We've got some guests that are going to be dropping in throughout the hour, and I don't want to spoil anything. They're from within Find My Past, and they're going to help me talk about RootsTech with you all. So that's going to be lovely. Cindy's saying, lovely sunny day in coastal Aberdeenshire. Fantastic. So many of you. Right, let's get on with some new records, shall we? Niall, if you could pop a link into the comments to the new records this week, that would be lovely. Thank you. So we have had a very busy week for new records. In particular, we've added 21,000 new Lincolnshire memorial inscriptions. So if you have ancestors from the East Midlands, you're going to want to be checking these out. The new records are from around 60 different parishes, and there's now nearly 300 different parishes in this record collection alone. We have updated the parish list that is linked in the blog post, if not, would kindly put it in the comments. These have actually been transcribed by volunteers at the Lincolnshire Family History Society, so brilliant work. A couple of things to bear in mind from these: they are monumental inscriptions, so these are coming from headstones. So if for anybody, and I'm sure this is all of us, if you've ever wandered around a cemetery or a burial ground, and you're looking at some of the older headstones, you'll notice that a lot of them are worn away. So this is going to affect the information that's available. Some of it might be weathered, worn away, all of that. So just bear all of that in mind when you're doing your searches. Make use of the wildcards. Some of the records do include spouses' names and parents' names, which is really handy. That's extra information. And I did a little test for you. I went and had a look at Thomas Molyneux, because I've got Molyneux in my family tree, although somebody did tell me the other day that Molyneux is not as rare a surname as I thought it was, which is a shame, but it's good to know. So Thomas Molyneux, I found from this one record. He was born in 1869. He died on the 26th of February, 1941, and he was 72 years old. The record then goes on to tell me that he is buried at Grimsby Cemetery on Scartho Road, which is just brilliant detail. I get a reference number for the plot as well, and I also got the information that he is the husband of Emily. So fab detail from that, really good to know. And the next record set we've got that's new this week is the Caribbean Regiment of Foot Deaths. There are just over 1,000 of these. These are records of British soldiers who served in the West Indies and died while they were there in the early 19th century. So if you have a military ancestor, give these a try. The 1st Battalion of the Royal Regiment of Foot actually preceded the Royal Scots. So if your ancestor was Scottish and served in the military, even better. I found an Edward Jones. And let's be honest, he's probably not related to me, you know, being that Jones is patronymic Welsh surname. But we're going to be talking a little bit more about these on Monday, by the way. So he died on the 18th of November in 1805 in Tobago, and he was a private in the 1st Royal Regiment of Foot. Some of these records do include a cause of death. So some will say that they drowned, for example. And for a lot of them, it's going to be the only surviving record for their time in the British Army, because, as you may know, some of the military records just start that little bit later, and a lot hasn't survived as well. So it could be the record that you've been looking for to confirm that your ancestor served in the British Army. Something else to note as well, because a lot of the people included in this were from Scotland, for the surnames, it will be MC rather than MAC. So MC Donald MacDonald rather than MAC Donald. That's just how they've spelled them in these records. And then the last record set that we've added to this week, we have added a staggering 3.4 million records into the National Burial Index for England and Wales. This collection is huge. It's around 16 million records now. And this is work that we've done with the Family History Federation. And I believe this is the only place you can get these records online. Correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, this is a huge release. It's the latest edition of this record set. Now, in the Friday's blog, there's actually a full list of all the parishes that are included in this. They're transcript only, but you do get some really good details from them. As I was having a look at some of them for overthrows, because my last name, and some of them for the young children that, you know, died quite young. It says whether they were, you know, 5 weeks, 5 months, whether they were an infant, that kind of thing. And this project actually began way back in 1994, and the first edition was published in 2001. And the records come from a variety of different sources. So you've got your parish registers, you've got bishops' transcripts, you've got earlier printed registers, and so on and so forth. It is an amazing resource. Definitely check it out if you have ancestors who are living in England and Wales. It's amazing. And then it would be remiss of me not to talk about newspapers, because I love newspapers. We've added over 71,000 new pages for this week. We've got 2 new titles. We've got the St. Austell, I think I pronounced that wrong. Someone's going to correct me in the comments, but that's cool. You know, every day's a school day. The St. Austell Star, which was first published in Cornwall in 1889, and it promised upon publication to be outspoken, and it was a liberal paper. And then you've also got the North Bucks Times and County Observer. This was published in Fenny Stratford in Buckinghamshire, and that's now part of Milton Keynes. It was founded in 1879, and the idea was to help local inhabitants get access to correct information. And it also promised not to just focus on national or international news, you also got your local news as well. So if you do have ancestors from the Buckinghamshire area, this is going to be a newspaper for you. We've also updated some existing titles, and I think we've added new pages into 10 this week. Full list is available on our blog and also the British Newspaper Archive blog as well. We have updated the Coleshill Chronicle, and that's for North Warwickshire. We have updated for the Northern Ireland titles. We've got the Newry Telegraph and Reynolds Newspaper. And I absolutely have to mention that we have updated one of my favourite ever newspapers, which is the Illustrated Police News. Is it the worst newspaper ever? You decide. I love it for the, you do have to take it with a pinch of salt. Okay, maybe not a pinch of salt, maybe like a bag of salt, because it was very sensationalist. It loved the drama, it loved the scandal, it loved the murder, all of it. And the illustrations are very, very fanciful, but I just really like looking at them. I think it's brilliant. We've added the years 1875 and 1891 into this existing title. So yeah, fantastic. So let's have a look through some of your comments, and then what we'll do is we'll do question of the week. And what time are we on? We're on 13 minutes past. Yes, we are, because I need to keep an eye on the time today, and there is a reason for that. So let's go and have a look at some of your lovely comments. Now this is going to be me trying to pick out some comments now, because there's just so many of them. Let's have a look. Gillian says, an uncle of my gran served and died in the Boer War, and her dad died while on active service with the Royal Navy during World War I. Can find written records, but not many photographs from these periods. Would like to see them on site if possible, please. Yeah, I absolutely love, there's really something about historical photographs. We do have our photo collection, and definitely check newspapers for photographs as well. They can be a really brilliant source. Susan saying, I've got Molyneux in my family from Lancashire. Some went over to the USA, Mormon pioneers. Fantastic. Lovely. Now, one of the guests that we've got coming on today, she just wants to tell me that she is going to fight me for who loves newspapers more. Yeah, to be fair, you do probably love newspapers more than me. She's waiting in the wings for me to add her to the stream. But correct me if I'm wrong, we're doing half past for yourself. Yes, she's nodding. Lovely. Okay, so let's do question of the week. I'm going to scroll up and just see if there are any more question of the week that I can find. But we did have a couple in advance, so let's do those first. So the question of the week is, tell us about a favourite memory from a genealogy event or conference. I'll start. So I think mine was working on the Findmypast stand at Salt Lake City in, I think it was 2019. And I spoke to so many incredible people there, but the one does stand out in my mind. It was a really, really nice chap, and he had been struggling to find, he'd had a brick wall that was decades and decades in the making, and he just stopped. He just couldn't go any further. And I think I spent a good 10, 15 minutes with him looking through Findmypast records, and suddenly we came across one, and it was just, that was it. That was the record he needed to carry on. And he got so excited, like he got his phone out, he's taking pictures and everything. And that, it just felt so amazing that it's just sometimes a couple of extra pairs of eyes can be really, really helpful. And this is, I think, why I love Findmypast from home, and the way you all talk to each other and help each other out, and the forum as well. Genealogy doesn't have to be a solitary activity. Having somebody else's help or their eyes on a problem is super, super helpful. So Claire, thank you for submitting yours in advance. So Claire says, I was going to one last year, which I think was 2 days in England. Unfortunately, COVID put a stop to that overseas holiday. I've logged into RootsTech and made contact with potential living relatives and messaged a few. Some far back in my tree. I've even got myself a few replies, so I'm working through those and to see where I can start explaining my line of the tree to their line of the tree. I'm very grateful for this service. Yeah, it's a really cool little trick that they've added for this year. I really like it. And then Amanda says, for me, it's the family history show at the Alexandra Palace several years ago. I've been lucky enough to prove 2 branches of my family tree back to medieval times. And she goes on to say there was a stand with mock historical items. Tracing my family back to medieval knights, I got to wear a mock medieval knight's helmet. 18 months ago, I traced my family tree back to my 16 times great-grandfather, Sir William Stanley. He switched sides at the Battle of Bosworth in 1485. His band of men charged forward and King Richard III, yes, the King Richard III, was killed. Sir William was executed in 1495 in connection with the Warbeck scandal, the Perkin Warbeck. Amanda goes on to say she discovered this 19th century engraved portrait of Sir William Stanley, apparently based on his portrait that hangs in Wentworth House in Yorkshire. And she did add the picture of the portrait, which unfortunately I don't have. So yeah, lots of them. Now let me have a scroll through the comments as well. And let's share a couple more of these, because we've got a couple more minutes before our first guest is due to join us as well. Let's have a look. Hillary's saying, I had such great time meeting friends at RootsTech in 2015 and again in 2018, met Alex for the first time. Yeah, fantastic. Earlier Ursula is saying, I met my cousin in Australia about 25 years ago, and since then we've kept in contact via email since then. Victoria, how lovely. That's why I love this group so much. We share, inspire, and help. I know. I just love it. I get so excited about this. Okay, Anya says, I was having a tourist day in Edinburgh with my mum, since that's where I grew up, and stumbled upon a family history fair. It gave us a good idea of where to get started with our family tree back in 2009. Isn't it just amazing when you do that? You stumble across these things and suddenly that's it. You're sucked in. That's your hobby now, basically. Have I missed any? Sue says, not found anything outstanding at live events, but found good pointers to other research options. I have met up with members of a genealogy group from a Facebook I'm on. That's fantastic. This is the thing. I think genealogy is just worldwide, and so many of us, we come from all these different places from around the world, and these events give us the chance to actually connect in person. And let's hope that sometime in the future that will be the norm again. Right, I think we are almost ready for our first guest. So if you'd give me a thumbs up if you're ready, and I can add you into the stream. Lovely. Okay, so welcome to our first guest. We've got Mary with me. Hello, Mary.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How is your day going?
Yeah, it's going great. It's Friday. So
it is Friday. Just if you could just remind our lovely community watching, what is your role at Findmypast? What do you do?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. First, I want to say I like that you keep calling me a guest. It sounds very prestigious. Me joining Facebook Live. But Yeah, so my role at Findmypast, I'm the content publishing manager. So I work with 3 different teams across the company, and our objective is bringing you new records every week and new newspapers every week. So I work with the team that is scanning all the newspapers, the team that is ingesting all of the new records, and creating fantastic new record sets for you every single Friday. So yeah, it's an exciting part of the company, and it's great to see and work with hands-on new records every week.
Yeah, it's as I said at the beginning, it's our favourite time of the week when we get to talk about new records. And Mary, you and I work reasonably closely together on, because you get to tell me every week what's coming up, and yeah, it's just always really exciting.
It is, and it's surprising that some of the record sets that maybe aren't, we're not releasing 50,000 or, or 1 million of them, but they're just so unique and colorful. And those are the ones that you want to find for your tree that'll be able to tell you that, your ancestor sold their trousers to a pawn shop, during the First World War. It's these little sets and these unique sets that I love the most.
Absolutely. So I've got you for the next 9 minutes or so, because I know you've got a very busy schedule. So I thought we would talk about our favourite aspects of RootsTech, or maybe you could share your favourite RootsTech memory.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to you before I joined in, and I think one of the things that you were just talking about is having multiple people and multiple eyes on a problem, and that's one of my favorite things about any conference, RootsTech especially. And unfortunately this year it's not the same because you're not standing there on the stand with everybody else. But I always enjoyed that one-to-one conversation that we get to have with the customers and really interact and understand what brick wall it is that they're hitting, what problem are they trying to solve within their family tree, and how we can find ways for Findmypast to help them, whether that's a new record set or finding a new way to search or finding, new ways to use the tree. There's so many different avenues to tackle these problems. So that's one of my favorite things, is really helping people to break down those brick walls. And also I think that individual connection is a lot of fun, because you start to really understand the why behind searching for your family history. People are very open and very vulnerable and very, really want to have a chat with you during these conferences. And I love it. I love getting to know the customers a bit more and to understand what really was their catalyst to get involved in family history and to know more about their tree.
Absolutely. Because I think a lot of us, we have quite emotional reasons for getting involved in family history, whether your daughter's just had a baby and you've got a new grandchild, or you lost somebody close to you, or you moved house. There is just so many reasons, and each one is really, really personal. And I think that's really, I think it's really lovely that at these events we can share in person why we got into family history, and you can just see that it's so emotional for all of us. It goes beyond the names and the dates on a family tree that goes back 500 years. I mean, this is our passion project. Please, in the comments, please let us know your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, I think what family history does is it does really bring the personal into history. It's the way to, it's exciting to talk to somebody and they found their ancestor in a workhouse, but then to layer on top of it the historical context of what the workhouse means and what would it be like, and adding all of that in. But, it means so much more because now they actually know somebody that was there, and that they're connected to them in some way. I think it's it's really interesting, really beautiful to watch.
Which RootsTech conferences have you attended? Remind me.
I've only been to one, actually. I did the London conference, which was that, I think, 2019 then. So somebody had mentioned that they were hoping to go to the one in last year, the 2021. Of course, I was hoping to get back to it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go. But the second thing I was going to mention about my favorite thing about conferences is, of course, the talks. So this year, even though we can't all be together in person and have these personal connections and story, and talk together, we can still attend all the talks. So I have, my weekends planned. I have a whole list of talks that I need to get to. I love, as much as, working with Findmypast for years means, I do understand the site a lot more, and I understand our competitors, as well, and how their site works. But I love still going to the back to basics kind of talks, because there's always something new you can learn. And you always walk away with at least one little detail that you didn't know. I didn't know what that annotation on a record meant, or I didn't even know this button was here. So that's really exciting for me. Absolutely.
And Susan's just mentioned in the comments that she's been to every RootsTech and she's missing being there in person. Yeah, I think I am as well a little bit, because I went to Salt Lake City in 2019, and then I did London in the same year. And it was a lot of work. We did a lot of traveling, especially Salt Lake City. I think we did, because I flew from the Dundee office. So we went Edinburgh to Heathrow, Heathrow to Chicago, Chicago to Salt Lake City. And so 2 days worth of traveling. We had jet lag. It was exhausting, but it was worth it. It was so worth it. But what's quite good about this year is, because it's all online, it's also all free, which is just wonderful. So you've got all these talks that you can watch whenever is good for you. I think I watched one half an hour before I finished work yesterday. I managed to squeeze one in, which is nice. And we've got, is it Miko and Brian we've got out there this year?
Yeah, so Miko and Brian will both be giving talks for Findmypast at RootsTech. And I think that's a great point, Ellie, about the fact that, the talks are accessible for whenever you want. So it does mean that people that aren't able to make that long trip from Dundee to Chicago out to Utah, everybody can experience these talks and get involved. Yeah,
absolutely. I do miss a sort of in-personness of family history.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well about, the in-person conferences that I miss, just even the buzz in the hall, how big the halls are, and getting to know people from the other tables, and, the societies that we didn't, we haven't been able to connect in person. So it's great to be able to see that. But I have to say, one of my favorite things is the books, of course. I always buy way too many books at a conference, and then I have to figure out, how do I put these back in my suitcase? What is going to be the weight on my suitcase, especially for an international flight? Like, that is a top concern.
Yeah, our second guest is actually nodding at the books comment. I'm just going to scroll back up, Mary, because I had some great comments here. So Amanda says, I totally agree. I'd wanted to trace my tree since I was very little. I'm passionate about history and connecting my ancestors to historical events. So special. Love this community. You all get it. This is the thing. I think we're all very, very like-minded like this. And I had some other comments for you in particular. Anya says, can we have Mary doing more sessions? The LGBTQ stuff has been so good.
Oh, great. Thank you. I'm so happy that you guys have enjoyed that. Now, yeah, I guess because of this, Ellie will be contacting me this week about what's the next session going to be.
If I could do you mind answering a quick question before I let you go?
I will try my best.
So we've got Sue, who says, how could you go about getting access to an archive that one newspaper has that's not online? She says she thinks some of it is held a local council archive.
So the question is access to an archive that one newspaper has.
I think what she means, correct me if I'm wrong, Sue, it's a newspaper that's not yet online. Right. Where's the best place to access it?
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, it would be going to the archive, which isn't always the best, especially at the moment because of COVID, the travel is so restricted. But, there's other restrictions, day to day, and the cost of trying to travel to an archive. We are part of my team, like I said, does scan the newspapers. So we are trying to get through as many newspapers as physically possible scanning. I guess one thing I would ask is, what newspaper is it that you're looking for? Let us know, and also contact a local archive or the local library as well. Yeah. I'm here in Northern Ireland, and I know there's a specific newspaper library as well. They're not open at the moment, but you can still contact those librarians to understand, okay, do you have at least a copy there? It depends from archive to archive about what services they're providing at the moment because of the restrictions, but some are open and doing, email requests and are still doing photocopying and record searching. So yeah, you can try the local archive. Some of the local record offices would even have those newspaper lists on an online catalog, so you can check that.
It's just amazing that there's still so much work that's been done, even though so much got shut down. But your team were doing amazing work, and I think our community, as I've seen from the comments, are really, really grateful.
We were definitely excited that this year, even with all the restrictions, we were still able that we've surpassed 40 million British and Irish newspapers on Findmypast.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Mary. I'll let you go. I know you've got a really busy schedule, and I really appreciate you joining us. So thank you. Okay. Have a good weekend.
Thanks. Enjoy.
Bye. Okay, so we do have, we've got another guest joining us from Findmypast as well, which is really exciting. And if I could just get a thumbs up from you that you're ready, lovely. So this is Eithne O'Connor, everybody. Afternoon, Eithne.
Hello, Ellie. How are you this afternoon?
I'm very well, thank you. I've had coffee, so I'm I'm very chipper this afternoon. And if you could just remind our lovely community, maybe they're not familiar with you, what do you do at Findmypast? What is your role?
Yes, indeed. I'm very much behind the scenes these days, and I am head of program and project management at Findmypast within our content team. So that's the team that bring the records to the site. So adjacent to what Mary does. However, in my other life, I'm also a PhD candidate with the University of Sheffield, where for the past 6 years, because it is part-time, I have been studying genealogists. And I've specifically been studying how they feel about criminal ancestors. So I've spent a lot of time reading about genealogists, not so much about history, unfortunately, the last 6 years.
Yes, so I think you do sort of wear many hats in Findmypast, don't you? Which is you have such a varied role, and you do, just like Mary, you do such incredible work. And yes, it is all behind the scenes, but I think our community will also attest that we very much appreciate the work that you do. So it's fantastic. Now, you have been to several RootsTech conferences, haven't you?
Actually, I've been to Utah and I've been to London, but then of course there are other conferences that I've been to as well, both in Ireland and in the UK.
Yeah,
so
and big and small. What do you like most about them? Because I thought we could talk a little bit about sort of like the community sort of aspect of a genealogy conference. Like, what is it that draws you to a conference? I mean, whether you've got to go for work or whether you go for a personal reason, what draws you to it?
So other than the saltwater taffy and the free sweets at the stands, we're talking about something different? Oh, okay.
Yes, we are. Sorry, but we can come back to that.
Okay, right. I'm gonna have to put the thinking cap on. No, I think for me, it's something you said earlier. There is that sort of. I think in the one way, all of us who study history and study genealogy, we like the sort of splendid isolation of the interaction with the documents. That's where we get a lot of our joy. We do love that. But then the community that surrounds us, both virtual, I mean, there are something like 16,000, Facebook groups to do with genealogy, and genealogists, of course, created societies from the late 19th century onwards. I think the first UK society was in about 1910, and then it's sort of branched out into the conferences. And it is a place where, we as a community can meet and share ideas, but also share our passions. And we all know those little quirky badges as well that we can get, almost like sort of, beads and things that we can show what conferences we've been to, and sort of the people that we share in common with. So in studying criminal ancestry, of course, there is a little badge that shows that you have criminal ancestry that you can get at a lot of the conferences. And, if people see each other wearing the same badge, they know that they have something in common with that person. And perhaps that's somebody, to tap for some information or to have a conversation with over coffee, or indeed at 3 a.m. in the bar, let's face it. So, the community itself is so diverse. And in that, I think we reflect our ancestors. As we begin to take this journey with our ancestors, we realize that they had complicated lives, as many of the talks that you've showcased recently have shown. They're not all anonymous laborers although unfortunately too many of them are, and we struggle to find out much about their lives. But in meeting each other, it's almost like we're meeting our ancestors, because we're we're coming into a community and we're meeting each other, and we're seeing that diversity of just human life, and it gets us, away from the computer. But what I like about the family history community is just how innovative they are, and how passionate they are, and how they embrace things. So family historians, it would probably behoove us all to know some of our own history. I mean, we were, as I say, creating societies late in the 19th century. That's when genealogy moved from being sort of this idea of pedigree into sort of a more inclusive thing. And then in the 1960s and 70s, when family historians actually were the ones who broke down the doors of the archives and said, we deserve to be able to see this material as well, not just academic historians.
Absolutely.
Especially in places like Australia, and even today in the United States, it's family historians who are making sure that the ordinary person has access to the hallowed halls of academia and the archives that perhaps, certainly in the 1970s in Ireland, you needed to do an interview to get into certain archives and libraries because they were so closed off. But now family historians are the largest groups of users of places like archives and libraries. They're the single largest group of people using those facilities. And so it is thanks to family historians that records have been opened up to the public, and that we're able to tell the stories of ordinary people. So it's ordinary people telling the stories of ordinary people, which is what I love about it. And so I don't think family historians quite realize their own power, because oftentimes it is that individual. I'm researching my family and I go to the occasional conference. But in fact, as a group, they're extremely powerful for getting access and that sort of thing for each other, for those sorts of records. So, all of that matters.
Absolutely. I think, Ursula, in your comment, you hit the nail on the head. Genealogy is a kinship. And
absolutely.
So true. I mean, I love what you said, Aoife, as well, about the fact that it's all, you go to these conferences and it's almost like meeting your ancestors. Because in a way it sort of is, because I remember when I was remember RootsTech London in 2019, and at one point there was a really lovely lady on the Findmypast stand, and she was chatting to Miko, and it turned out that they were related.
Oh, it's mad. I mean, the connections, the world really is very, very small.
I know, it's just...
And we show those connections.
It's just beautiful. I really, really love it. And we did a community event at London, and we invited a group of our lovely community members. I think some of them were from the Findmypast forum on Facebook, and we were just able to chat to everybody, and I got to meet some lovely people that otherwise I would normally only know sort of their names, and a lot of, many of them actually regular viewers on Friday's Live. So it was just so special.
Yes, it is. And it's in gathering in forums like this and in hashtags on Twitter and places like that we can continue that, even through the current situation. And actually, even before the current situation, a lot of people who are doing genealogy, they're at home for different reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
There's disability, there's, perhaps you're living somewhat rurally. What's great about this community as well is it embraced technology so early. Right back in the 80s, genealogists were creating databases, and then as soon as sort of email lists were available, they were sharing information with one another. So I have to say that, technology is also allowing for the community that is there, if only it can come to the surface, to come to the surface. Yeah. And actually, in one way, being forced to stay at home at the moment is just showing us that there is a community there that you can tap into, even if you can't travel, even if you can't. So I do hope that this sort of community feel continues even as we emerge from the current situation.
Yeah. I just think that's one of the real pleasures of working for Findmypast is being able to do things like this. It's all virtual. You don't even need a Facebook account nowadays to watch something like this, or a YouTube account. You can just watch. And it just means that, you know, it's more accessible expert help. And it means that you can come together in the comments and you can chat to each other, and rather than having a chat on your street corner, you know, which we can't really do very much at the moment. So yeah, I think there's definitely something to be said for keeping some things virtual, but I understand that, you know, I think I sort of yearn for that human interaction as well with genealogy.
Yeah, I think that the important thing is to understand that some people won't, you know, necessarily be able to travel, you know, and it's important to have both options for people, I think, and to make sure that everybody is included, because, you know, it's not always possible to travel to a conference.
Yeah,
so, you know, it is nice to be able to offer that other outlet and that other community for people.
Well, I think that's our 10 minutes then, Aoife, because as you know, just like Mary, you've got very, very busy. So I appreciate you coming on for even just a short space of time today to reminisce with me, I suppose.
Yes, indeed. And, you know, if anybody wants to send me saltwater taffy, I'm sure Ellie can let you know.
Or cheesecake.
Yeah, it was more the fries at the Cheesecake Factory, in fairness, but lovely. Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'll talk to you again, and hello to everybody in the community.
Lovely. Thank you so much, and have a lovely weekend. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. And that was Aoife, everybody. I hope you're enjoying having not just me on Fridays this week. I'm just going to go through the comments a little bit because I've got another guest coming on in a couple of minutes, but I need to wait for him to join the stream. So Sue's saying you can ask people online those stupid questions without being judged. No question is stupid, in my opinion, because it's always a learning. It's a learning curve. You know, as with anything, genealogy, there's always something new to learn. And if somebody can answer your, I'm not going to say stupid because I don't think any questions are stupid, in my opinion. So scrolling back up, we've got Anita. Anita, I've met you in person at RootsTech London. It was just so lovely. She says, I found out today I'm related to a work colleague. I'm from the south of England, but now in Lincoln, and she's from Nottinghamshire. She asked me to help with a brick wall of hers, and boom, there's a connection. I love it. It's amazing, these little hooks that you can sort of draw people into the genealogy world with. Yeah, one of the ones for me is just telling people that, you know, I've got Scottish ancestors, or trying to tell my grandmother that she's also got Scottish roots, and it's just there's something in their eyes just changes, and you go, tell me more, you know. I'd love that, because then you know that you've got them hooked, and I think that's fantastic. I think people have been talking about a band. Excuse me, I'm just scrolling back up because I think I've missed the conversation here. Heavy metal music while researching, each to their own. Anya, I really like film and TV soundtracks, but that's a story for another time. Oh yeah, apparently you're forming a band. Lovely. And Alex is going to play the guitar. I can play on the tambourine, and yeah, we'll be golden. Lovely. Now it's a couple of minutes ahead of time, but is our final guest ready? If you could just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. And that's not a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It's a thumbs up. Okay. So we're going to welcome our final guest, and he probably needs no introduction. And we're going to chat about the future of genealogy conferences. Miko, afternoon.
Hello.
How are you?
It is afternoon, isn't it? I'm so delirious with excitement because it's been RootsTech for how many hours already, and because it covers all these time zones, you have to be awake for so long, and there's so much to see and do.
Absolutely. William, one of our community members, who I also met at RootsTech a couple of years ago, which was amazing. He said that he got up at 4 a.m. for RootsTech yesterday, and that is dedication.
He's been to bed. What? If he's been to bed, then he's slacking. What's happening here? We've got so many days to fill this in. I mean, maybe bed has to wait till Sunday.
Now, you've actually got you're presenting some talks at RootsTech this year. So why don't you just remind our lovely community what you are chatting about this year?
I'm doing a set of 3 talks about your Scottish ancestors. It's a series. They're designed to be played one after another, but you can take one if you want on its own. But there are 3 courses, like all good meals. It's a introduction to Scottish research, and then a bit about how to fill in the gaps, and then a bit about how to tell stories, and about 20 minutes each. So nice bite-sized chunks, something to get started with. And then you can use all of those other presentations from other people to maybe look at some more advanced records as well, and hopefully start building that Scottish family tree.
Brilliant. And because what I quite like about these online talks, I mean, number 1, they're online, number 2, they're free, but number 3, they're actually quite digestible, which is really good. I think that from the ones I've had a look at so far, they're no more than about 30 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've watched a few. They are quite easy to get your head around, and they're quite nice to either have on in the background or sit down and watch. And there's just such a breadth of different experiences and different things you can look at. It's impossible to be bored. There's something for everyone, no matter your skill level, your interest, even the language you speak and the geographic area that you're researching in. I've been watching some Italian presentations, for example, and I've even been delving into some German ones, but my German is not quite good enough to really follow along. So I'm enjoying their auto-translate feature as well, which is quite good.
Yeah. Before we move on to sort of the future of genealogy conferences and RootsTech, Victoria in the comments is actually saying that she's not been to a RootsTech before. Maybe we could give her the lowdown. I mean, what is RootsTech?
RootsTech is a gathering of like-minded people from all over the world, and it's the largest one in the world. And it used to be only in Salt Lake City in Utah, which is kind of the mecca of genealogy as a religion. And so everyone gathers there once a year, and then we look at records, we talk to each other. It's not just about the presentations and the events, it's about the social side, it's about the things you can get on with in the research library. There are all these different things that you can be getting on with, and everyone gathers for this week of fun, and it gets bigger every single year. And because of current events, it didn't happen this year, and so they moved it online instead. And that means that everyone can see it no matter where you are in the world without the need to travel to Salt Lake City. They did one in London, and that was 2019, wasn't it, Ellie? And that was worth going. That was something to behold. That was a fascinating slice of the same thing, but a little bit closer to home if you're British. And I think that will be back again very soon. So if you're local, then definitely that's something to take a look at. Perhaps not as expensive to travel there and to stay, but you'll still get a bit of a flavor of all of those presentations and all of those things going on, a chance to meet experts, a chance to share family history problems, see new technology, all kinds of exciting things going on. It's just a feast for the senses, and it's really exciting to get to.
Feast for the census, was that?
Whoa, Ellie, this is a Friday. You can tell, can't you? Look at what's going on. All the rules are off the table on Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Look at what's happening.
What I particularly love,
it's a jazz presentation. It's free form.
What I particularly love about RootsTech and genealogy conferences, like RootsTech in particular, is you've got sort of this main expo hall normally, and it's where every big genealogy player, family history society, they've all got their own stands, and you can wander around the expo hall and you can talk to people from each of these companies and societies and archives. And they've always got like swag or sweets or something like that you can pick up, badges that you can normally add to your lanyard, which is quite cool.
RootsTech badge on my thing here as well that arrived this morning, so I'm representing. So there are still badges to be had. You just have to look a little more carefully now.
And then, so you've got the expo hall, and then you've also got in all of the rooms off there, that's when you've got like the smaller talks, and then you've usually got a main stage where you have the keynotes. And I just saw a bit of Martin Luther King III's talk at Salt Lake City, which was amazing. And then at London, Donny Osmond, he was one of the keynotes, and I remember that they were doing the keynote in the main hall, and then we were all on the stand, and then suddenly all of these RootsTech volunteers are coming out because they're trying to make an orderly line for people to line up to meet Donny Osmond. I just thought that was amazing.
Well, it's exciting, some of the people that come through. There's there's something for everyone each year. Every morning or every day they have a different keynote, and I think they're doing similar things. Even now, as it's digital, they've got all of these celebrities and people who have inspiring stories and interesting tales that can hopefully give you some thought for when you're doing your family history. They might not have the same experience as you because they're from a different place or they've grown up in a different way, but the lessons that they've learned from life are always really interesting. I think I remember seeing LeVar Burton, who was in the TV show Roots, if you remember that, and Star Trek. That was amazing. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. It was so absolutely inspiring. And there've been many others over the years. I think there were two, what they call the Property Brothers, who are quite Scottish, but they've been in America for a while. And I think they were bragging about how Scottish they were to a lot of people from Findmypast who were from Scotland. So it didn't really go down as well as it maybe could have, because they were definitely more Scottish than them. But yeah, there's always something to watch and to see, and always something to excite you.
Yeah, lots of people reminiscing in the comments. Hilary saying she saw Donny Osmond. Anya saying that she's enjoying the sports people doing the keynotes. Anita saying enjoying the virtual experiences and the ability to see all presentations at her leisure. Yeah, that is brilliant. So what do you think? Because with the current situation, the fact that RootsTech is normally in, Salt Lake City and now is completely online this year, what do you see, or how do you see genealogy conferences and trade shows evolving in the future?
So it's been interesting how some years ago, and some of you might remember me from this and meeting me, I traveled around the country when we launched the 1939 register, and I spoke to, I think it was something like 80 family history shows or 80 presentations in 80 days. And I went around all these different places, and it was going to a room and speaking in person. And people gathered, and it means that you have to be fairly local to enjoy that and experience it. And that was why, I did the traveling so people didn't have to. It wasn't all in one place. But the digital change that's happened because of the situation that we're in has really, I think, democratized and opened things up a little bit in a way that it hadn't before, because there are these family history societies and different organizations that have members who have roots in certain counties or places, and they're interested in researcher in this area. However, they may be in Canada or Australia or somewhere else, and that means they now have access to this camaraderie, this collaborative research, this inspiration, research tips, all these different things that can go on. No matter where they are in the world, there are certain people who might find it harder to get out, perhaps if the weather's bad, or perhaps they need some help or anything like that. Now, all they have to do is log onto the computer and they can get involved. And so that has really brought this stuff to a new audience. And I've spoken at a few family history society gatherings over lockdown, and it's just been amazing to see all of those people together. And I think family history societies and family history shows are kind of the same in this element, that the technology and this ability to have a much broader audience is giving a bigger scope, more than we've ever seen before, and people are tuning in from all over. And I think once this genie is out of the bottle, it's very hard to put it back. And I can't imagine that we'll all go back to having to be in person. I think that there'll probably be something digital from now on in some form, all over in many different family history shows and experiences.
Yeah, I wonder if they do move back to in person for RootsTech and other conferences, whether they also have an option for whether they're all recorded. Or they're streamed live or something like that.
They used to do that. Yeah, they had a section of talks were live streamed, and they also had a few talks that you could buy an extra pass, and that pass would give you access to the talks. I think that's the sort of thing that maybe we might see more of. I think just the ability for more people to get involved and less of an in-person thing. Although the in-person thing is going to be really exciting and it's definitely worth going, it just means that you've got many more people involved.
Yeah, we've got a question from Daphne, if that's all right. She says, are Miko's sessions on RootsTech pre-recorded?
They are, which means that every time you click play, they don't send me a little bell, and I have to get up and quickly run to the microphone. You can watch it at your leisure, anytime, day or night, wherever you are in the world. So you don't have to worry about anyone else. You can just choose the time, and the same with all of the other talks. So choose your what they call it. You can make a little sort of menu of all the talks you're interested in. Make a sheet, a set list, and then you can exactly, that's what we call it. You can tell I haven't slept very much, and all of the RootsTech excitement, all these questions coming in. That's one of the most exciting parts about the live RootsTech experience, is that there's a little chat room in each of these presentations, and all of those chat rooms you can ask questions of the presenter, and the presenter will be coming back and forth and replying to as many as they can. So I've been if you go into my talks, you'll see my responses that have been night and day. I'm trying to get as many as possible done, but there are all these other experts as well that you can ask questions of, and you can only ask questions for the duration of RootsTech. So you have until Saturday to do that. So definitely take advantage and try and ask as much as you can.
Yeah, and lots of comments here talking about how good it is to have this virtual. Roxanne saying, it's my first RootsTech and being online has been so nice. I can pause, take notes, or go back if I miss something. That is so true. Like, I don't take notes very quickly. I like to take quite detailed notes, and being able to pause things, it's amazing how that little detail can mean so much to you.
One of the, I would say, colourful, exciting things about RootsTech and about other family history shows that bring people from wide distances is that there's a huge variety of different accents and voices, and some you'll be able to understand, and some might be a little harder. Some people might speak faster or slower. I know I'm definitely not a slow speaker, and being able to pause and stop and going back and say, did he say that? Is that what's going on? It really helps. And even someone asked in one of these chat questions saying, what was that word you used just there? And I could just say it, because I know, my accent isn't the easiest for some people in different parts of the world to understand. But that ability to do that really helps, and it makes things a lot more accessible than they would be if you had to be there in person.
And speaking of which, the RootsTech sessions, I believe, they're going to be available for quite a while on the website, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, so they're available for a year, but you can only use the chat rooms, and you can only get involved in the event itself while it's happening right now. So you've got a few days to do that, so till Saturday, to ask the questions and enjoy sharing the experience. And if you don't get round to watching all the talks, don't worry, because you've got a year to do that. But choose your favorites and try and watch as many as you can now, so that you can ask the experts while they're there. And then you'll make sure you might be able to get the answer to that brick wall, or use their help while it's there and it's available to you.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much, Miko. It's been great to chat to you today, all about everything to do with RootsTech. It's been really nice. Now I'm going to do my wrap up and say goodbye to everybody. Would you like to stick around, or do you need to dash?
I want to watch. It's good. It's exciting. I've been in the audience while I saw this coming, and now I'm going to watch from here. So it's exciting. It's great.
Very good. Okay, so just to brief everybody as to what's going on next week at Findmypast from home. So on Monday, which is St. David's Day, we've got a very special chat about Welsh family history that's been pre-recorded by myself, by Miko, and also by a special guest. So that will be available at 4 o'clock, premiered here on Facebook and also here on YouTube. And you can join and you can chat. And hopefully, I think our special guest said they were going to be around for the comments. So that's really good. On Tuesday, as International Women's Day is coming up on the 8th of March, I've got a special guest. On Tuesday, I've got Lisa Lisson joining me for a session on how to research your female ancestors, because I think we're going to be celebrating all of these amazing women that we've got in our family trees, and also amazing women from history as well. So that's going to be really exciting. Alex is going to be back for Friday's live, so make sure you tune in, even though he is off today. The following week, we've got something even more special lined up, which I'm really excited about. I don't know why I mentioned it because I don't want to spoil anything for you, but what I'm trying to say is that we've been working really hard behind the scenes to get you some really, really amazing guests. Myself and Jen in particular, and Miko, have had some really good chats with people, with external guests over the past couple of weeks. So that is going to be happening. We've got loads more coming for you. We've got returning guests, we've got new guests, and there's going to be something for everyone, which is going to be really nice. But the last thing I wanted to mention was we started Findmypast from home nearly a year ago now because of the lockdown. Now lockdown is easing everywhere now that a vaccine rollout is coming out and everything. And although we've got things planned up until June time, would you like to see more of these into the summer, into the autumn? I'll probably do a little bit of a survey for you all if that's okay, but just have a think. Is this something you'd like going forward? Because these are designed with you in mind. So yeah, have a think and we'll chat about it at a later date. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining us today. If you joined us for the first time because you've attended RootsTech and you've stuck around, thank you. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. And I hope you enjoy your weekend and the remaining day of RootsTech 2021 as well. And thank you, Miko, as well.
That's brilliant. And there's one question, one comment that's appeared that I just want to check on. So I just found, so there's one from Eithne saying, does Ellie do a dance as part of her wrap up?
I'm just a very expressive speaker.
But it's probably going to be part of the band. If you just hang on, maybe 2029 or something like that will go on tour. That's how it'll work.
Lovely. I can see lots of yeses to continue Findmypast from home in the comments. So that's really nice to hear. Thank you, everybody. So have a fantastic weekend. Tune in next week and stay safe, everybody. Bye-bye.